welcome to Moments. We are here with Miss Sonia Smith-Kang, and
Hi.
she is so many things. I don't want to miss anything on your resume, but she is a designer, she is a businesswoman, she is a advocate, she is so many things. So tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you first of all for having me.
Of course, of course.
Congratulations on your show.
Thank you.
I was so excited. I think I stalked you and was like, "Please, let me be on your show."
And she wouldn't have to stalk me at all because she is so amazing. You are so passionate about what you do and about infusing so many different aspects of your life into your brand. And that's just inspiring for me. And I knew it would be inspiring for so many other
Thank
mothers.
you.
So yes, you wouldn't have to have been
Oh,
me. I would
well.
have been in your inbox like, girl, you ready? I need you. So, but yeah, I want everyone to know about your brand.
Right. Well, I continue to say that I'm really trying to heal this 13-year-old girl who came here who didn't quite fit in. My father is black, my mom Mexican. Because I'm a proud military brat, I was born in Puerto Rico, and then we moved to Oahu where we were stationed. And coming here to California, I just didn't fit. Like I was this tight, curly-haired girl who rode a school bus to a predominantly white neighborhood,
Wow.
and just didn't know where I fit in. And so I've always wanted to talk about culture. I've always been asked, "What are you?"
Yes.
Is the first question that I get. So I've always kind of felt like I was this champion, if you will, or an ambassador to the multicultural community.
Absolutely.
And then I met my husband, who's Korean, and we have 4 children together that we raise as these, we call them mini global citizens, because they are learning Korean, Spanish, and of course English. And we just we feel our home, we feel our lives, we live with intent on teaching about not only their culture, but about the culture that we share this world with.
Wow.
And so
That's so important.
yeah,
So
it's
important.
it's super important. And I left a world as an RN. I was an RN for 15 years, but as a stress reliever, I would sew clothes. And when I started having my littles, I was like going into stores trying to figure out, and I'm sure you probably have a similar story about going into stores and not really figuring out what they had great clothes,
Right.
but what was it for my children and what did I want them, to feel about themselves. So I'd go and I'd find some funky fabrics and that either showcased or celebrated their culture or any culture, and I would sew them into a romper.
Let's take a beat because I don't want people to miss how amazing just that part of your story is. You went to the store, didn't see what you wanted to see, and you're like, I'm going to change that.
I felt like instead of waiting for someone else to come up with what you need, and I think as moms, we're kind of those creators and, builders, and we're kind of the ones that just say, we hack things, right?
We have mommy hacks.
We have mommy
If you
hacks.
don't have it, we'll find it. We'll
Right.
create it. We'll do something.
Rubber band, something, we tie it up, anything that, but for me, it was a thread and some fabric and a sewing machine. And I would source fabric from all over the world, and I would put them into different styles, whether it was a dress or a button-down shirt for my son. Whatever it was, I was making it for them. But then the part that I got that light bulb moment was when I was walking with the kids and people would be like, "Where'd you get this? And what is that little design on there?" And I felt like I was talking about the history behind the fabric or the culture. And then I said, okay, I can use the clothes as my vehicle to teach about different cultures.
Yeah. Wow.
In like a digestible way that it didn't look like somebody was preaching at you.
Exactly. Because the way people like to get information, they want to feel like they've sought it out, and they want to feel as though they're being told a nice story, or they can get it in a beautiful package. They just don't want to be like preach that. So that's a great idea.
Thank you.
And so when that light bulb goes off, is that when you named it Mixed Up Clothing?
Right. Well, so Mixed Up Clothing not only comes from my mixed heritage, but it also comes from mixing and matching different cultures. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I could have a kimono style wrap dress, but I could have sourced the fabric from Kenya or Brazil or whatever it is. So I'm mixing different textures, different countries, different styles from the culture.
Can I just give you a yes ma'am? Because I would completely rock a kimono style, whatever that was. I want one in my size.
Right. So, and there's no, the rules can be, we're making up the rules as we go. So I'm hoping that the clothes tell a story.
They do.
And I hope they start a conversation.
Absolutely. And speaking of the clothes, let's just take a journey with Sonia. How do you get from the needle and the thread and the fabric to the beautiful clothing that we see here behind you? So take me from the fabric choices. How do you start there?
The magic of TV. I have a new project that I just started and I'm really excited about. I sourced this fabric. And it's just almost like a beautiful quilt of different African, different sections of different African prints. And so I loved it. And that's why I start. I always start with a piece of fabric that speaks to me, that has a cultural significance. And then, for instance, I took it and I turned it into an infant romper.
How cute is this?
So I went ahead and I just said, how do we need to get into the outfit and some little squishies. And so that's kind of how the process starts. In my head, I style it and how I would want the kids to be seen and what story does it tell. And you don't get to see it all the time. And if I wanted to stop somebody and ask about the fabric, each of my pieces comes with a tag that tells the story that you can read it. And when somebody stops you on the street, then you'll be like, well, look, here's what,
this is what came from.
This came in. Yes. I love learning about different cultures because I think that's kind of where our world is. I think we're afraid to get to know our neighbor and the next person.
Right.
And if we just took the time to kind of say, tell me about you. Tell me about your history.
Right.
What are your cultures? What do you have any traditions? I think we'd learn that we're more alike than we are different.
And that's how you ask the question. Please don't ask anybody, girl, what are you? You got that curly hair, what are you? No, ask about traditions and culture and history and really listen. I think that's a big deal. And I love that you're a multicultural advocate because then you can speak to people, but they need to listen.
Right.
And I think that's what is sometimes lost in talking about different cultures and history and ethnicity and things of that nature. As an advocate, what have you, especially in the landscape that we're in right now, what have you come across and how have you been able to help push the conversation forward when it comes to talking about race?
Right. I have a nonprofit that I work with called Multiracial Americans of Southern California, or MASC, and they've been in existence for over 25 years. Wow. And one of the things that we're actually this year celebrating the 50th anniversary, if you could believe it, of a Supreme Court case called the Loving case, where it was actually illegal to marry interrace, right? And so so it's not like we've been doing this forever.
Right? Very recent, 50
years.
Recent.
And our organization also worked with the U.S. Census to get them to change that one box. So now you get to check more than one box. So race has been a really important topic that not only my organization, but that I do in my life. And we start the conversation early on in my family. You got the birds and the bees, you got the driving while brown and black talk, you have the race talk. And ours starts pretty early.
Really?
My kids know that, that the books that we choose have multicultural characters because I want them to see reflections of their reality. So we buy 2 books. We buy a book for our home library and also one for their classroom. Because it's one thing to be able to educate your family and to see, themselves, but you really want to, it's like preaching to the choir, but then preaching outside the choir. You need to reach the folks also, their friends that may not have access to what you have in your home.
I know we're running out a little bit of time, but I do want to get more info on where people can find your clothing.
Yeah.
And we'll get some more shots of the amazing stuff that's behind you because I need some of these bloomers for my booty. They can't just be for the kids. But yeah, people that are interested in finding your clothing, where can they find that?
Please, yes. So we're at www.mixedupclothing.com. Social media is the same at Mixed Up Clothing. And so you can find all our channels there, and we'd love to hear from anybody. And we'll offer a coupon code for your audience.
Ooh, y'all won! Y'all just won! You didn't even know it.
And we'd love to if the culture that is out in your audience is not represented, even though we have a good smattering of different cultures. Send us a note. I'll get on it.
Yeah, y'all hear that? Thank you so much, Sonia.
Thank you.
You're amazing. What you do is
Thank you.
amazing. Ooh.